can address that. Yes. Anyone, anything wish to ask? You can ask. So you need to practice on your own child.
Yeah. They practice the questions.
أنا عامل فصل مهم في كده يتكلم في المصري ونص امبارح ولا عاوزين اللي قلت لهم هنجيب لكم الجهاز
ماشي
مش حالهم بقى عاوزين حامل زي ده
لا تدرك نسبة
قلت لهم بس يا جماعه خلاص ما يجي
كده
عاوزين
كده بقى.
Absolutely, I agree that you need to practice on your own child,
كمان طيب
and then only you will have many more
نسينا
questions
ده
coming. Errors will come during the way you evaluate your child or the force you apply. It is like we call it cotton touch, okay? And that kind of touch. It is like when you want somebody to get their attention, you pat on their shoulder very gently. Like that kind of a soft cotton touch you should have in your hand while evaluating on the evaluation tools. And absolutely questions will be there, no doubt. Error will be there. Error, you are identifying the scale itself as, I think possibly after the scale was made, nobody pointed to the author, and I am not sure if author is surviving. I'm not sure. Many times practically it so happens that when we evaluate and we have a question like this, whatever yesterday you all had the confusion, we normally write back to the author, okay? Very rarely it happens that the author has replied us back. Sometimes they do reply and they reply with sorry. And I can recall one such communication, it happened, it was a research work from King Abdulaziz University only. It was a published work. And during the article review, when we put a question, we wrote to the author simply said, I am sorry. That's it. You cannot do anything. Because if you have identified the error, you need to find a solution. So that means that part he has done. Now you identified, so you do your part. That is the way in the scientific world it works. Okay. So now we are heading for another scale, that is TIM. Okay. We have rescheduled the program, that is Alberta practice will be done in afternoon. Okay. And then parallelly we will have TIM practice. Okay. In this case, the way I did the infinite evaluation myself and you all will bear around, TIMP and Alberta will be done like that. For Alberta, staff member will do, TIMP I will do. Okay? So all of you will be around and then you will have observation, because Alberta is an observation scale. Okay? TIMP is an observation plus elicitation scale. You have to elicit a few things. Alright. So you have a handling. So that will be done between 1 to 2 o'clock, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And then 3 o'clock we will assemble here and we can have a panel discussion. You can have your questions and thought put to us. Okay. So we start with the TIMP. This is the TIMP scale. Okay. This is the scale. That is how the front page starts. Okay. And this is how such a big scale is there. Okay, and it has got 42 items. So you can imagine how much time it would require.
20 to 30 minutes المفروض.
Okay, so that is how the TIMP is. Alright, you have been given a copy of it. As
Yes.
I go ahead with the lecture, finally you will refer that as I will point it out. Okay. For the observed item, there are no instructions. I make it clear. You will see here observed item and elicited item. Okay. You will see observed item and elicited item. Okay. Observed item, there are no instruction. For elicited item, you have instruction on the back side.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can read that and then you have a scoring parallelly mentioned there.
اه معانا في الفايل اللي اديهولنا.
So please go with me, because if you make me go along with you, problem. If you go with me, easy. Okay, anytime you can halt and stop. There are some mathematical calculation in this scale, and that mathematical calculation you have to do by your pen and paper. More than adding. There is a subtraction, there is multiplication, and there is a division. Okay? And this is the manual. Okay? If you don't have this manual, then whatever we are teaching you today, you have to keep it in your record, because you have a form. If you don't have all the things, whatever formula is there, you have a form, you cannot do anything with this. Okay? Because there are few things that is not there in the form, which is there in the manual. But we have put it in the lecture. Okay? So we start with this. Okay, so you see the child. So first, you always need to have a concept why a particular scale is made, and that concept has to be clear. So the thing is that as a human being, we need to be what is called self-organizing or self-regulating. Okay? When you are dysregulated, many times you see NICU children are dysregulated. So it takes time to regulate them. Okay? Till they are regulated well, that means they respond well, they behave well, none of the tests you can do. Okay? So as a human being, the human infant is self-organization, and as a self-organization, they have multiple systems, they interact. And when the multiple systems are interacting, in this case, for the motor system, you have muscles, you have joints, you have nerves, you have cognition, you have emotion. All that is needed to do a purposeful movement. Okay. Now, many a time newborn you see they do the movement. We say it is a random movement. And many a time newborn movements are epitoid type. That means their movement is discontrolled. It is fidgety. It is totally like involuntary. It is so spontaneous. It is so without any purpose. So you call it purposeless movement. So when you have a purposeless movement like that, you can see here this baby who is I think 2 months old, trying to reach for the toy and making attempt, not able to extend the elbow. The baby is normal. Okay. So that is the reason that we need to have muscles, joints, neural, nervous system, cognition and emotion all intact to complete a purposeful movement. Imagine if you have joint limitation, like say so you have arthrogryposis. Can you use this scale? No. Because you have structural limitation. You have multiplex congenital contracture, MCC, you cannot use it. Okay? You have a spina bifida, you know it. When you know the problem, what is the point in using the scale? Think logically. Because everything is there, clinically you know that spina bifida is there, clinically you know that MCC is there, then what scale is going to give you? No information. So scale is meant to be applied on a child where nobody is sure if the child has a problem or not, because clinically you are not sure. That is how the scale are designed. Okay? So these scales helps you to identify those children where it is difficult to pick if they have problem. That is the conceptual basis. So under this, what we need is the development of the posture and the movement, and that all comes from the brain maturation. So over here, what you need is you need a good trunk, you need a good stability in the body posture. Plus, what you need a good proximal control. Plus, what you need a functional task that a child can do. Okay. All these has to be there for a brain to be understood that brain is mature. So these are the science, these were the concept behind TIM scale designing. And so this scale was designed, and this is a 5.1 version. We are not able to solve this problem. I have been trying since yesterday. Yeah. I don't know. Is it coming this side? No, it is cutting from inside only.
From the projector itself.
I told you this. Stop. They tried yesterday to solve it. Okay. Okay, so it was a 5.1 version. So you can see over here, front page is up to 5.1. That means before that, many other versions have been made. Okay, so this is a 5.1 version, and believe me, this is the only scale where PT and OT exclusively joined together and they made this scale. In this scale, there are no pediatrician or neonatologist involved. So, who are the OT, who are the PT, I have differentiated here. So, there were 3 PTs and 2 OTs who made this scale. They are the author. Okay? Campbell, you might have read her book. Her name is Suzanne Campbell. Okay? So, that is how she is known. So, it is a 5.1 version. Okay. Now, what you need as a tester to do? You need as a tester to do is you need to have idea about the motor development of infants. Okay, and you should have experience in examination and intervention of preterm and full-term high-risk infants under the age of 4 to 5 months. Means this scale is applicable only from preterm children to 4 or 5 months. That's it. After that, its application is redundant. No use. Okay. So that is how it is. It has a limit. Okay. So what are the characteristics of this scale? The characteristic of this scale is it assesses postural and selective motor control in day-to-day functional task, which is not there in many other scales. Okay, and that too during early infancy. And test items, it reflect the movement demands experienced by the newborn in natural environment. I repeat, natural environment. That means we need to create that optimum natural environment for a newborn. That is like bathing, dressing, and play, anything related to that. Okay. So, how many years it took for the scale to be made? 20 years. That's why I said, to make one scale, one life will go. Any one of you are ready to give your life, you can come forward. I will be happy. Okay, mainly because I know the defects of many other scales. Okay, and I actually want to correct those defects. But you cannot do many things. Single hand cannot clap. Okay, so you know it. So what happened is that it was result of 20 years of research. So that infant identify the infant who has atypical performance under the birth to the 4 to 5 months, and this 4 to 5 months, believe me, it has to be corrected age. Okay, corrected age for their prematurity. Then it will measure the change with precision over 2 weeks time span. That means 2 weeks before and 2 weeks later, it will get the effect of the change. That means today what intervention you have done, after 2 weeks you can analyze it whether it was beneficial or no. That is the reason this scale is called as criterion referenced. You can evaluate the effect of intervention. Okay? In Alberta, you cannot do. Okay? Similarly, as we go ahead with the class, we will tell you why it is called norm reference. So this is the point why it is a criterion reference. You can analyze the effect of intervention over 2 weeks time span. So that means when you apply this scale, 2 weeks interval should be there for the baby to be called for follow-up. Then using this scale, you automatically can design the intervention goals for a child who has delay in their motor development. You can actually tell what all activities can do. That you will understand slowly how to tell that. Then, effect of therapy I said. So similarly, you can use this scale to educate parents about infant motor development. Means what all development is not happening in the child, so what they can do. You can actually educate the family. That these are the 5 main properties of this TIMP scale. Okay. So what is the age range where TIMP scale can be applied? 34 weeks post-conceptual age. Think about post-conceptual, okay? 34 weeks, or you can understand 34 weeks preterm baby, whichever way makes you understand. But this is the thing that you will see in the manual or the book, and that is how you document the information. Up to 4 months post-term. 4 months post-term is corrected age, okay? Now, we spoke about the ICF, International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health. So any scale we talk, that scale must be categorized under ICF, okay? Because ICF is the domain by which you can explain scientifically in the literature what you are evaluating through the evaluation tools, okay? So under this ICF, it comes under the activity. If you remember first day class, we told you that it evaluates the activity component. That is, you have got 3 components: body structure and function, 1, activity limitation, and participation restriction. Okay, so it evaluates the activity limitation of the baby. What all activities are limited, and so it will not analyze you body structure and function, it will not analyze you participation restriction in the baby, only activity limitation. Okay. Now, what are the test measures? So it will evaluate that quantitative measurement of motor development to identify the infant who is needing early intervention. Plus, it examines the postural control and body alignment which is age appropriate for a specific activity. So what are those? So these are these things. 1, movement in early intervention. When child is changing the position, when child is moving against the gravity force, when child is adjusting to the handling, when you handle the baby, when child is comforting by self, and then self-comforting means they will take the hand to mouth and calm self down, okay? Then child is orienting the head and body like somebody is talking, child is listening, looking and interacting with the caregiver, okay? So these are the situations under which this test will measure the performance of a baby. So who could be the target population? So target population will be both clinical and research. So in the clinical area, neonatal intensive care unit, infants who is there. Then the follow-up clinic for the developmental clinic. Then early intervention program, if you are involved with the home care for a community-based intervention, or in the research, if you want to assess the outcome of clinical trials. So I think yesterday one of the participant was there. I think she is doing masters. If she is here, she's here.
I don't know. I met her yesterday. I talked to her.
Yeah, you have been talking about this, so possibly, yeah, thank you. So possibly you can think about, because believe me, I see here lots of newborn children, lots of prematurity, and because I saw so many mature children, that was the reason why I thought this scale must be practiced here and must be learned by all of us. So that is the reason why we thought. So if you want to do research in this aspect, and you have your target goal is that up to 4 months corrected age, possibly you can use this scale and then analyze your performance, because on the TIM in Arabian countries research is not available. On Infinib, I told you only from Iran it is available. Okay, so if you want to do, you have good sample, you can possibly use it, and possibly you will get the good information. So it is possible. Okay, so the test design. So what test design actually reflect. So items in the test is reflecting the full range of motor maturity from 34 weeks post-conceptual age to 4 months of post-term. That means corrected age. So only during this range the activities are there. After that it is not there. So what are the test construction and standardization? So under the test construction and standardization, it is developed to evaluate the effect of NDT treatment. Those who know about NDT treatment, that is neurodevelopmental treatment, on posture and movement in this particular age, and that is called baby treatment. Under NDT, it is called baby treatment actually. Okay, and they wanted to know that whether the premature babies are improving by NDT therapy or no, because most of the NDT therapy under the baby treatment is playful. You don't apply so much of force. Okay, and then they wanted to evaluate. So they needed a very sensitive tool to evaluate such changes. So that was the main purpose why it was designed. So because it was purpose of evaluating the effect of NDT treatment, that was the reason why physical therapist and occupational therapist are the main author for this scale. Other scale, you will see a neonatologist, you will see developmental pediatrician, you will see the home science professionals, you will see child developmental experts, you will see psychologists. Like that you have a combination. So based on their field of expertise, they incorporated the tools or the activities which they needed to evaluate. But this is the scale where purpose was purely the physical therapy outcome evaluation. So as I told you, it is a 5.1 version. So under the 5.1 version, what happened is that before this, the items were plenty, because many items were there in the scale. So all these items underwent rash analysis. Rash analysis is a component of statistical analysis which is very tough actually. It is so tough that unless you have adequate number of sample, rash analysis cannot be done. No way possible. And it is really tough analysis. So any evaluation tool or any studies where they do the rash analysis, that outcome is highly reliable. Okay, that is why it is important. So after all this process, they kept 42 items in the tin. So when you look at this, you have 42 items in the form. So how to understand 42 items? Okay, so open this page. Okay, and go to this last page. You will see 41, 42. Okay?
Yes.
Last page. You can see? So that side number you are saying, that is all the item numbers. 14, 15, 16, like that you have an item. Okay? So like that you see 42 items in this scale. Okay, and how many samples they kept? So it was 990 samples. Keep this 990 in your brain now. I will ask you later. Okay? So don't forget this. 990 samples. That means exactly 990 samples were used. After that I will ask you one question. Just keep it in mind. It was on US population. Okay. Now, why it has to be specific US? Why all the tests US only has to do? Why all the tests coming from European country or American country only? Why it doesn't come from Asian country? Why it doesn't come from Arabian country? Why?
They are creative.
Huh?
Because they are creative.
You can also be creative. You are creating petrol for us.
Teamwork.
No, initiative. يعني they are in.
It is a
Circumstance.
thought process.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a sensitivity of the nation, because in US they made a rule. Under that rule, all the children has to be evaluated, compulsory. And to some extent that same practice I see in this hospital. That is the beauty. And that is the reason that many preterm children I see surviving here. And sometimes I get mesmerized how you all manage it. believe me, it is something like a miraculous attempt. So that is how it is. So the thing is that why US population is because under this age 4 or 5 months, okay, under 4 or 5 months across all countries, cultural effect will not come. Because no parents will make 4 months old child sick. They start making sick after 5 months or after 6 months. So you saw the effect of culture on your baby. Okay? So that is the reason. So I mean to say that it can be reliable to your population as well. Okay? So it is a norm referenced. As I said, and we will tell you how it is non-referenced. So it is elicited, it has got 2 items, elicited and observed items as a component. Okay, so now what are the content of it? So when you look at this, I told you before, it has got elicited item and observed item. So look at this observed item, okay? Observed item has got 13 items, okay? You see at this, you have got 13 items here, okay? 11, 12, 13. Look at that.
Yes.
13 is there?
Yeah.
Okay?
From
It has
14.
13 items. And then I told you the rest 29 is there in the elicited item. Okay? So all observed item will be observed. And it will be observed as yes and no. Look there, it is written yes and no. Clear? So you read that, you are finding that in the baby, you write yes, not finding, click on the no. Okay? And all these items will examine spontaneous movement in the baby. Like head is in midline, how the individual finger is moving, how the ankle is moving, like that it will examine. We come to the elicited item. Elicited item are 20. So that is how 29 plus 13 makes it 42. Okay? So these 29 items, they will test the infant's movement in different positions with the vision, with the sound. And so this process, how you test, okay? Which it will check the ability and orientation of the head in space in response to auditory and visual stimulation. In which all position? Supine, prone, sideline, upright position. And during transition from one position to another position. That is how it will test. Plus, it will test the body alignment when head is manipulated. Then it will test the selective digital control, distal control. That is with respect to the finger, wrist, hand and the ankle. And then it will also test the anti-gravity control of the arms and the leg movement. So that is how elicited item will be testing different category of the problem. Is that clear so far? Okay. So we go one by one. Okay. So in this case, I have to shuffle a little. Annie, you can send me the second page. You remember? Now I receive call. It's okay. I'll manage. Okay, so this is the first page. Okay, this is the first page, and in this first page you have to fill these information. You have to fill this information, okay? That includes the date of the test, the birth date of the baby, current age, that is chronological age. If you have expected date of delivery, then yes. And then with respect to expected date, what was the birth date, okay? Then in terms of month and days, the preterm state, and then what is your adjusted age. And the test, when you begin, date, and when you ended the test. And your test earning, okay? Plus, okay, plus, you have to write about the clinical impression, normal, suspicious or atypical, as a summary, last. And then you have to write the environment, when you tested this, where you tested this, as an isolation, in open crib, or when the child was on oxygen, or any other situation when you evaluated, because it will have effect on the findings of the baby.
EDD is date of delivery?
Expected date of delivery, that is.
Due date.
Yeah, due date.
To adjust corrected age. Others including the medication if having
You
some.
can write, because you can always say that it was the effect of that, so the baby's performance is like this. So when you withdraw the medication, then you can always check the effect. So it is important that you document this information. And I always request, in case I have to evaluate the baby and the child, especially on anti-epileptic medication, I always request if during the testing time the medication can be postponed or preponed, so that we can have accuracy. So it is good to do that, so you don't make error. If it cannot be done, then on the first day we can have with the medications, and second day without medication. So we can tell the neonatologist that okay, this is what we are saying, if some dose adjustment possible. Okay, so that is how you can. So this is the observed item. Okay, remember all observed item will be evaluated in supine position unless and otherwise it is indicated. Okay, if some complications are there in the baby is in prone position, then you document that the baby is in prone position and you can observe or not. So you see 1 to 13. Okay, so here I just go one by one. First one is head is in midline. The head is held within 15 degrees of midline at least 2 seconds. Yes or no? So what you do is you keep the head in midline and you leave the baby. So baby is keeping the head in midline for 2 seconds or no?
At least
Okay, that
2 seconds.
15 or
15 degrees. 15 degrees means from the midline child will move to the 15 degrees. You need to have idea how much degree child is moving. So within 15 degree child is moving, that is okay. More than that is moving, then no. Okay. Then you have individual right finger movement on the right side and so the left side. So what you see, an individual finger movement is noted in the right hand without other joint movement. That means you just see the digital movement of the finger without movement of the elbow, without movement of the shoulder. Can you observe? If you observe, you write yes or no.
Good.
Okay. Similarly, left side. Okay. Then item number 4, finger object surfaces on the right. The finger objects are surfaced with the right hand. So you give an object in the right hand. Okay. And
put
then
it
you
in,
see.
excuse me, put it in his right hand or let him grasp
No,
it?
you,
We cannot grasp it.
no, you give an object. Normally we give a cube or rattle in the baby's hand.
So to put it in his hand.
You offer to the baby. So what baby does? They will start touching. They will not grasp. They will start touching the object. It is like as soon as you touch the dorsum of the hand, okay, what child will do is they start opening, okay, and if you keep over there, they start playing with that. They will grasp or they will touch. So that is the fingering, you notice that, okay. Similarly on the left side. So remember, right and the left separately evaluated. This you are not seeing in infant. You have to assume. Here they thought, okay. Then item number 6, bilateral hip and knee flexion. How the child is moving hip and knee flexion so that feet clears the support surface. So when they are bending the hip and knee, the leg is above the surface.
Spontaneous or we?
Yeah, spontaneous.
Observation.
Like this. Okay. Like that. Then you look at the foot has to clear the surface, okay? 7, isolated right ankle movement. So you see the ankle is moving without any other joint. Child is moving the ankle in dorsiflexion or plantar flexion without Keep bending movement. That means that much of observation time you have to give. Okay. Similarly on the leg side. And this can be done, you see over here, for the right hand movement, okay, right finger movement, left finger movement, and then right ankle movement, left ankle movement. It is written any position. That means you can check in supine or prone.
So we just observe without any stimulation.
Yes, you are just observe.
If we isolate left from right or isolation from other joints,
Yeah.
not right or left.
Yeah. Only for the right, left for the left. So what you do is you keep the baby down and baby is playing, you keep the head in midline and you observe and whatever you have to have in mind what are things you observe. Okay. Then item number 9, you have reciprocal kicking. Okay. So you see reciprocal kicking is happening both the legs off the surface, not feet touching the surface. Okay. Then you see fidgety movement. Here, child will demonstrate an ongoing flow of small, minute movement occurring in every part of the body, showing great variety with frequent changes in direction. Sometimes one side, sometimes another side. That means child is not stable. Fidgety movement. Child is not stable. Okay. That means movements are changing from right to the left, left to the right. You are seeing yes or no. Are we clear? Okay. Then you will see ballistic movement. That is swiping. Okay. That is they will swipe the hand. They will swipe the leg. Okay. That is the movement. Swipes are large, abrupt, and fast shoulder movement in up and down backward direction. Movements are launched abruptly but concluded gradually. Swats, swipes are fast and powerful shoulder or hip movement with minimum large amplitude and abrupt of onset or offset. That means child will move the hand and then suddenly will stop. Okay, it is like a swiping. And then they are directed downward or forward. Distal are relatively immobile. So in that case, when they move the large joints, distal joint will be relatively, they will keep it fisted. So it is relatively immobile. Okay? So it will be like this. Some of the picture, if I can show you. Can you see this arm of the baby?
See it in,
Okay, they will move sideways. The wrist
see it in or this one?
will be fisted.
See it in or?
Huh?
18 or
This
this
is
one?
18, but telling you how to observe that. Similarly, over here, okay? You look at the finger, they are fingering, okay? But what, in that case, shoulder and elbow is relatively stable. So like that you have to observe. Then you see oscillation of arm or leg during movement. So what you will see is move or less regularly fluctuating movement which are observed mostly in the extended arms. If it is straight, a movement cycle lasts 5 to 1 second, slower than the tremor. I said most of the newborn movements are at the twilight time. Okay, so it will be slower than, to say that it is a tremor, it will be slower than that, and it will last only for 5 to 1 second. Okay, and then what will happen is it will be fluctuating. It will be fluctuating between hands and the legs. You see this in preterm babies, and that is how it is there. Then reaches for a person or object. So while child is in supine or sitting position, reaches for and contact the person or object presented in midline. So child you keep in mother's lap and then you offer the object. Or child is in supine position and you offer the object and then you see whether the child is reaching or no. Okay? Yes.
I want to know the difference between kicking and hyperreflection.
Number 6.
How to tell you? I have to go back into my collection zone. It will take little searching.
Okay.
Shall I complete the
Yeah, sure.
class and then I go?
Yes.
Because it's required, I'm mentally not prepared for you not knowing about it, okay?